Runic King. Chapter 11. At the Martial Hall, Zhao explains to Dongsi that even if you had 0% rune spirit, you could try awakening, but the dangers were so high. We learn that using the awakening crystal and using the awakening medicine work almost exactly the same, and that the higher your rune spirit is, the higher the chance of success. This means that Dongzi's low rune spirit makes it even riskier. Unlike the awakening crystal, the awakening's medicine 1 outcome is not failure, but a horrific and painful death that would be unavoidable if he failed. But there is always the chance that Dongsi could succeed and achieve his dream of becoming a rune master. With this knowledge, Dongsi needs to weigh the risks and rewards. His friends feel it's too risky, but Dongsi knows that it is an all-or-nothing situation for himself. Zhao has only told Dongsi about the awakening medicine because he managed to break through his human limitations. Zhao goes on to tell Dongsi about the dungeon in the wilds and the powerful gang that found and controls the dungeon, which only lets non-rune masters into it, which is why the gang needed normal people to enter it for a fee to search for a hidden treasure for the gang leader, in exchange for the awakening medicine. Zhao also explains that there would be many competitors for the awakening medicine, and his friends started protesting again, wanting him to change his mind and reconsider the dangerous task ahead. Zhao doesn't want Dongsi to go in blind and suggests he joins a team with an old comrade of his to get some experience first. Dongsi agrees, and Zhao grabs him so that they can head over to the city entrance. The demoness immediately knows who her father is referring to and is speechless. At the city entrance, while they are sitting at a cafe, an alarm starts blaring loudly, and Dongsi is scared and believes that runestone beasts are attacking the city. Zhao knows better, and that this alarm just marks the return of his old comrade and his spoils from a successful hunt. Dongsi quickly learns, however, that hunts are dangerous, and that even experienced hunter teams have a chance to have injuries, as a hunter missing an arm is quickly taken to get treatment. Zhao calls out for his comrade Poison Wolf to join them. He comes out with his team, and we get to meet them. Poison Wolf E-rank and Rune Swordsman, and leader Big Cow an E-rank and who is a Rune tank. Firefox is an E-rank that is a Rune sniper. Mountain Tiger an E-rank and another Rune swordsman. Lastly, there is Skinny Monkey an E-ranker and another Rune sniper. Zhao is concerned about their injured member, but the team is so used to the dangers and reality of being a hunter that they appear to be uncaring, but it is just the harsh reality of their new world. Zhao wasted no time taking the opportunity to offer them a replacement team member. Poison Wolf doesn't appear to be convinced, however, due to Dongzi's age and the dangers they face in the wilds, and his team isn't happy to just take on any random person either. Chapter 12. The Rune Masters who become hunters are often considered the bravest and fiercest of the Rune Masters. They hunt rune beasts, and the rewards are huge, but with those rewards come an equal amount of dangers. Out in the wilds, there are no laws, and rune beasts are not the only dangers the hunters face. Newly formed teams even had to be wary of their own members, as well as other less reputable hunter teams and bandits. Poison Wolf, not knowing Dongsi, doesn't believe he can survive in the wilds, and his team believes the same thing. They even try and discourage him as they want someone they can rely and depend on. Zhao pulls Poison Wolf aside to explain the situation to him and to let him know that Dongsi is like family and really needs this to be able to become a rune master. Zhao has to be completely honest and tell Poison Wolf how low Dongzi's rune spirit is, and he is shocked. But Zhao also tells him how Dongsi has managed to break through the human strength limitations. Poison Wolf is intrigued by this, as it was very unusual, but he also knew that Zhao would never let Dongsi join them if he didn't believe in him. The team doesn't really agree with Poison Wolf's decision, but they respect him and his leadership, so they also agree to Dongsi joining them. A few days later in the city, the awakening ceremony is getting underway. First up, we see Feng Rui successfully awakening, and he is so relieved. The guild recognizes that he isn't the most powerful rune master around, but he was good enough to join the ranks. Next up, we see the demoness touching the awakening crystal, and it reacts brilliantly to her touch compared to all those before her that day. Her awakening is powerful, and the power surrounds her body, infusing it and awakening her to her rune master powers. Next up, we see our school bully, whose parents are cheering for him with his 66% rune spirit. He touches the crystal, and to his horror and the disbelief of his parents, nothing happens. The guild calls out his failure, and the bully's father begs for them to give his son another chance, but the rules apply to everyone here regardless of your station. Feng Rui laughs and teases the bully, as he can't believe how the tables have turned, as he is now the rune master, and has his whole future ahead of him, while the bully is now just a normal human being. With the bully's parents' high standing, they can't afford the embarrassment of having a failure for a son, and the father knows of another way for their son to be able to become a rune master, and it, of course, is the awakening medicine. Chapter 13. We find ourselves back at the city gates where Poison Wolf and his team have loaded up and are on their way into the wilds with their fleet and vessels. This is Dongsi's first time being out of the city, and he's feeling a bit nervous leaving, but thinking that his friends have most likely already passed their exams and awakened their rune master powers. He doesn't want to be left behind. He is at least happy to know that while he is gone, his sister will be safe. This trip into the wilds is a bodyguard and protection trip for a research professor and his two students who look to be a bit spoilt and possibly trouble. The male student Lin Hao seems to be trying to impress his fellow student Tang Yin with tales of his experiences in the wilds, when out of nowhere a massive claw strikes the window. They, looking out of terrifying Lin Hao, Poison Wolf's team reacts fast and quickly dispose of the uninvited guest. Lin Hao pretends like he wasn't scared to save face in front of Tang Yin, but the crew know better. Firefox then notices that Dongsi didn't even flinch at the sudden attack, but just kept looking out the window, looking deep in thought. The professor jumps in, seeing this as a teaching opportunity, and identifies the beast as their current research subject. Lin Hao has other things on his mind and once again tries to impress Tang Yin, who completely ignores him and shows off her own knowledge about the F-ranked beast and its mutations. Dongsi jumps in on the conversation and adds his own bit of knowledge to the conversation, and impresses the professor, who thinks Dongsi is an awakened rune master. Dongsi quickly corrects the professor and lets him know that he hasn't actually awakened yet. Lin Hao gets all offended and starts to berate Dongsi, which Firefox quickly shuts down with some rather harsh words. Not wanting things to get out of hand, the professor steps in and takes control of his student, telling him to mind his own business. Dongsi is really grateful to Firefox for sticking up for him, and she lets him know that she sticks up for all her teammates. After traveling for a day out into the wilds, the Poison Wolf team decides to set up camp for the evening. Big Cow, aka Bull, hands Dongsi his camping gear and compliments him on the way he has handled himself so far. Our resident snob, who is just chilling at the fire, then tells Dongsi to set up his tent as well, and once again Firefox very quickly steps in and shuts things down. Lin Hao gets snarky and suggests the fee they paying includes manual labor. When another teammate reminds him that they only there to keep the research team alive, the rest is their problem. Lin Hao battles and can't even set up his tent properly, and so he decides to rather just sleep under the stars. All that manual labor has gotten him hungry, and he asks the team what's for dinner. A massive monster lands and slams into the ground right next to where he is standing. This is going to be dinner for Poison Wolf's team, and the research team gets a canned dinner, or the rations that they brought with them. Dongsi is in awe at the F-rank beast, and being the newbie in the team, Firefox instructs him to prepare the beast, and gives him a special blade to work with, as normal blades won't work on the beast. Chapter 14. After dinner, Poison Wolf tells his team that they can rest, as he and Dongsi would guard the camp and their client and his students, who were both in bed, one reading and the other passed out and snoring loudly. Poison Wolf, wanting to test Dongsi, invites him up into the lookout tree with him, and without wasting any time, Dongsi makes the jump and surprises Poison Wolf. Even though he knew about Dongsi's strength, he really just wanted to see it for himself, as Dongsi's low rune spirit mixed with his strength makes for a very unusual combination which intrigued Poison Wolf. Despite his strength, Poison Wolf knows that Dongsi just won't survive the dungeon as he is, and this is because he is missing something. Bang! He kicks Dongsi in the chest, making him fall out of the tree. That is his first lesson, and the reason he won't survive is his trust in others, which caused him to drop his guard, which in the wilds means death, even if you with friends always be on alert. With only one prize and so many competitors, he needs to be ready for anything. Dongsi is a fast learner, and knows that the awakening medicine is the last hope he has of achieving his goals. Poison Wolf decides he's not really a teacher, but rather a guide, so it would be up to Dongsi to grow and learn. Poison Wolf takes Dongsi deeper into the wilds, where they come across an F-ranked wild boar, which is precisely the same as the one they had for dinner, and this is Dongsi's target. He is concerned, as he hasn't awakened yet, so Poison Wolf helps him get over his concerns with a little kick to the back. Poison Wolf lets him know that if this is out of his league, he may as well not even try the dungeon. The wild boar in the meantime has spotted Dongsi, and isn't very happy to have been disturbed, and charges directly at him with murderous intent. Dongsi calmly draws out the dagger that Firefox gave him earlier that night to prepare their dinner. The wild boar is charging at full speed, and at the last second Dongsi dodges to the side. The wild boar barely misses him, but quickly comes to a stop, pivots around and charges straight back at him. This time Dongsi takes a different route and jumps into the air with a flash. He stabs the dagger into the wild boar's back. This, however, just seems to enrage it even more. Dongsi realizes his mistake as he had prepared a wild boar for dinner just that evening. With this knowledge in mind, he repositions himself to strike again, but this time he goes for the weak spot, its neck. Once he has taken the boar out, he receives a quest from the system with some great rewards which pop up on a system window. It's not the easiest mission, and the rewards reflect the risks, as killing 10 F-rank beasts will be no easy task. Poison Wolf praises Dongsi for the actions and skills he displayed whilst fighting the wild boar. He also tells Dongsi to keep the runestone dropped by the beast, so that once he has become a Rune Master, he can use the runestone to become even stronger by absorbing its energy. Chapter 15. Dongsi continued fighting beasts throughout the night, working on his skills and his system quest on his 5th beast. A system menu popped up showing him his progress. Dongsi couldn't believe how much progress he had made just from fighting beasts. He felt like he had been missing something that might have helped him grow stronger faster. Poison Wolf assured him that this was the best way to grow for now, and Dongsi knew that at his current rate, his system quest would soon be achieved. As the two of them reached the base camp, Firefox was curious about what the two of them had been up to. As Dongsi headed off to go shower and get some rest, he passed Tang Yin. She looked down at his pouch and couldn't believe that an unawakened person had managed to kill and collect so many runestones. She also looked disappointingly at Lin Hao, who woke up oblivious to everything that was going on around himself. In his tent, Dongsi emptied his 5 runestones onto the floor to see his knight's haul, when a system message suddenly popped up, asking him if he wanted to absorb the rune energy from the runestones. Dongsi, of course, chose yes, and we can see the energy being drained from the runestones into the air, and then into Dongsi himself, which allowed him to level up yet again. Dongsi realized once again just how much of a cheat the system was, and how much it had helped him so far. Dongsi pulled up his stats, and we see that he had now reached level 8, and had 15 ability points available to distribute. He reviewed his stats, and thought about his strengths and weaknesses, and decided to put most of his stats into physique, as his body had battled to maintain the pace the previous evening. With the other attribute points invested, he noticed how his wisdom being increased affected his senses, and that made him realize that he needed to ensure he didn't neglect or favor one attribute over another, as they all played an important role. With his stats distributed, he felt a lot more confident about his upcoming dungeon delve, and set himself a goal to reach a minimum of at least level 10 before the deadline. Firefox, who seemed to have a soft spot for Dongsi, asked Poison Wolf about his performance, and Poison Wolf was really impressed with him mentioning all his strengths and his growth potential. He also asked for Firefox's help in getting Dongsi ready for the dungeon. Firefox put Dongsi in her sights while he was looking for her to start the knight's training. One of her teammates teased her, and she quickly changed targets, took a shot, and ruined his dinner, blowing it right out his hands. Dongsi looked a bit nervous to be going out to train with Firefox, but Poison Wolf assured him that he could learn a lot of sniper skills from her. Firefox started heading deeper into the wilds, and Dongsi chased after her, not wanting to be left behind. Tang Yin, seeing the two of them going off, asked the professor if she could also join the training, but he quickly declined her request based on how dangerous the wilds were. But Tang Yin couldn't believe that an unawakened could possibly be safer in the wilds than her. But the professor again reminded her that they are different people and that she needed to remember her station. Chapter 16. Firefox's training is very different to Poison Wolf's, and she tells Dongsi to go and hide while she looks for him. Within minutes, she finds him hiding in a tree and puts a shot through the branch he was sitting on. That was his first life down. His next spot was a bit better, but with Firefox's experience again, it didn't take her too long to find him hiding in the stream, leaving him with just 1 life left. She then gives him a challenge for his final life, where he had to last 10 minutes, or head home forgetting the dungeon. This test would prove if he was good enough to survive in the dungeon. She starts her search for the 3rd time, and soon senses his presence nearby in the bushes. Without hesitation, she fired a shot to scare him out, but to her surprise, all that jumps out of the bush is a little rabbit. She stands still, letting her senses work, searching for Dongsi. When a tree branch rustles behind her again, she spins around, firing her rifle rapidly twice in succession. And this time, instead of finding Dongsi, a large reptile beast falls out of the tree, crashing to the ground. The time was ticking down, and there was only 1 minute left. Firefox had still not managed to find Dongsi, and she was starting to get worried that Dongsi might be cheating, and that she could possibly lose the game. Checking her watch again, she saw that she only had 30 seconds left, so she decided to activate one of her runestone skills, which worked something like thermal imaging, making the entire world look so different when looking down her scope, but also allowing her to quickly pick up Dongsi hiding in the bushes. Dongzi's senses pick up that something is wrong, and he just knows that he has been spotted. But with the time just about up, he also knows that he can't move in case he is wrong, and his movement gives up his position. The time drops to just 3 seconds left, and Firefox stares down her scope, aiming directly at Dongsi, but not firing. At 2 seconds, the pressure on Dongsi is so high and he is ready to break, but knows he just has to hold out. At 1 second, Firefox puts the barrel of the rifle inches from Dongzi's head, trying to intimidate him into moving and revealing his hiding space. But his nerve holds out, and we see the time hit 0, and Dongsi has made it and passed the test. We then find out that the reason Firefox didn't force Dongsi out of hiding is due to her breaking the rules by using her skill, and how much Dongsi impressed her. Firefox praises Dongsi, but lets him know that if he doesn't awaken his powers, he will only ever just be good, and Rune Master will always use their skills, and he can't compete with that. She goes on to tell him the skills and talents that rune snipers need, and how they have to anticipate every move they can. She also tosses him some equipment which he fits onto his ear, and a screen popped out over his eye, and a heads-up display started showing him all the information that a sniper could need when making a shot. It even identified beasts, and let him know their strength and hit points, which were valuable information in a fight. Dongsi was overcome with gratitude, but Firefox let him know that their training session for the evening had just begun. The next morning, back at base camp, Poison Wolf and his team are getting breakfast ready when they spot Dongsi after his night's training and are absolutely shocked by his appearance. We then get to see Dongsi, and he looks like death warmed up, and you just know he's had a rough night. In fact, he is so exhausted from Firefox's training that he can't even make it to his tent and just crashes down on the floor the second they're safely inside the borders of the camp. After a while, Dongsi makes it to his tent and pulls up his system window, and we see that he only added an additional 3 kills to his count from his training with Poison Wolf the previous night. We also see that Dongsi has managed to grow to level 10 and puts all his free points into agility and wisdom in preparation for the upcoming dungeon. Since he managed to level up, his body recovered, but he still decides that he needs to get some sleep and let his mind rest. The professor asks Tang Yin to hand him some notes, but she is in deep thought, as she appears to be very sensitive to rune spirit and can sense Dongsi growing in strength. Absent-mindedly, she starts handing the professor a burning stick, and he's so busy reading he doesn't even notice till it hit his hand and burns him. Tang Yin is mortified and can't stop apologizing. We see Dongsi all packed up and feeling fresh after his sleep for the day, and after his 2 days of intense training, he feels ready to tackle the dungeon. Chapter 17. Skinny Monkey pulls up with his ship and offers Dongsi a lift to the dungeon. Lin Hao isn't happy at being left out and demands to be included on the trip, but Dongsi uses his strength and jumps up to the ship while it's in the air, so that Lin Hao can't bother them, as he doesn't have the strength to make the jump. Poison Wolf and Firefox have both grown fond of Dongsi over the past few days, and just hope that he has what it takes to survive the dungeon and get the awakening medicine. Poison Wolf is surprised by how much Firefox likes Dongsi. She knows it doesn't matter how she feels, unless Dongsi survives the dungeon and wins the awakening medicine. On the ship, Skinny Monkey lets Dongsi know that he packed him a survival bag for the dungeon. Dongsi gets all emotional and feels grateful to the people in his life who have helped him get to this point. Skinny Monkey sees Dongsi losing focus and snaps out of his mood, reminding him to stay focused. Tang Yin excitedly pops out of a hatch at the back of the ship, giving both Dongsi and Skinny Monkey a terrible fright. Dongsi is mad that Tang Yin has snuck onto the ship, but Tang Yin doesn't care and was tired of being left out. Skinny Monkey knows he can't turn around, or they won't reach the dungeon on time, but he is also worried about Tang Yin getting hurt. Tang Yin then reveals that she is actually already an F-ranked Rune Master, and very capable of looking after herself. Dongsi is surprised that Tang Yin is already awakened, and realizes that she must come from a powerful and wealthy family, which are able to get their children awakened early. She is shocked to find out where and why they are going, and Dongsi gets snippy and comments about how rich people don't belong in certain places. Tang Yin isn't your typical spoiled rich kid and realizes how hard Dongsi is struggling to get what has just been handed to her without having to fight for it. Tang Yin asked Dongsi why he was risking his life just to awaken, and he initially mentioned some superficial reasons, but then he tells her the honest reason for him wanting to awaken, which is to be able to protect the ones he loves. They finally arrive at the dungeon, and there are already quite a few people there waiting around. Some guards see them arrive and request their dungeon pass, which Dongsi hands over. The guards see his rune spirit and start mocking him as it still reflects his 27%. Tang Yin gets upset with them, but Skinny Monkey quickly stops her, as the wilds don't care who you are as only strength matters, and hers was too low. The guards don't really take notice, or even really care, and just toss Dongzi's pass back to him and tell him to proceed. They turn and head over to the dungeon entrance. Tang Yin was curious as to how they were suppressing the dungeon, and Skinny Monkey tells them how it must be the resting place of a very strong Rune Master. He doesn't know the exact reason, as there are many factors that could be making it possible. All he knows is that the Ash Gang have checked it out. Dongsi hears his name being called out. He turns around, and there standing smugly with a group of mercenaries, he sees the school bully. Instead of getting angry, he realizes that the only reason the bully must be there is because he failed at the awakening ceremony. The bully gets angry when Dongsi mocks and compares him to himself. He then starts to threaten Dongsi as he is feeling really brave with his mercenaries surrounding him. Chapter 18. The bully goes on to brag about how he would be getting the awakening medicine. Skinny Monkey, hearing enough of the bully's nonsense, casually offers to take the bully out. The bully is absolutely terrified when he hears Skinny Monkey casually talk about ending him and calls out for his mommy and daddy. They rush over, hearing the terror in his voice, and the dad recognizes Skinny Monkey and threatens him. Skinny Monkey also knows who the dad is and backs down very quickly, as he knows how well the bully's dad is connected, and that if he caused trouble here, it would just make trouble for Poison Wolf and his teammates. Dongsi and the bully's dad are both sent flying when the Ash Gang's leader flies just over their heads. He is really strong, and a D-rank Rune Master. He isn't interested in anyone's private issues. All he wants is for them to listen up and follow his instructions. Skinny Monkey warns Dongsi not to mess with Yujin, as he was not just strong, but also rather crazy. He starts to tell Dongsi stories about how the Ash Gang robbed shuttles and avoided police because they knew the layout of the land so well. In retaliation to the authorities arresting some of their members, the Ash Gang blew up some surveillance shuttles and even threatened the minister. The bully, who was listening in on their conversation, tells his dad to go take out the leader and just take the awakening medicine. The dad is terrified, knowing the leader outranks him, and shuts his son up quickly, but he isn't fast enough. And the leader just happened to hear the bully's words. He's not impressed, but due to their low level, he just gives them a warning. The leader, wasting no more time, starts to tell the gathered people the rules. In the dungeon, there is a jungle filled with F-ranked beasts that are acting as guardians for a palace dedicated to the death god, which is in the center of the forest. In the palace, there's a chest at the foot of the statue of the death god. The chest is the goal, and whoever hands the chest to the leader gets the awakening medicine. He then lets them know that the dungeon is only open for one night. The bully shows his true colors and is terrified and doesn't want to go into the dungeon, but to not embarrass the family, he has no choice. He has to become a Rune Master. Skinny Monkey wishes Dongsi good luck, and Dongsi is eager to start his adventure already. But before he can head in, Tang Yin steps up to him and hands him a strange item. It turns out to be an expensive one-time use airbag armband that can save you from a fall. Skinny Monkey knows how expensive the item is and teases her for having it and for giving it away so easily. The Ash Gang leader flew to the entrance of the dungeon and officially opened the dungeon to the crowd of participants, who started rushing toward the entrance, with the exception of the bully, who has to be dragged in kicking and screaming by the group of mercenaries his parents have hired to protect him. After entering the dungeon, Dongsi notices that they are not all bunched up, meaning that the dungeon must spawn them in random locations. He hears a cry for help in the distance, and being who he is, he rushes towards the person in need of assistance. When he gets there, he sees a competitor stuck in what looks like quicksand. After the lessons, he has recently learnt he doesn't just jump out and help her, but fights with his conscience, trying to determine what to do. Luckily, he is saved from having to decide as another competitor rushes up to the lady stuck in the quicksand. Betrayal! With lightning-fast reflexes, the lady in the quicksands uses her leverage to pull her savior into the quicksand and swap places with her. The Good Samaritan looks up to see a team of 3 looking down on her stuck in the quicksand, and she begs them to let her go. The lady she just ran to save mocks her for her kindness, seeing it as a weakness, and having no place in the wilds, she then puts an end to her would-be savior. One of her teammates gets the feeling of being watched and starts to search the surrounding area, calling out loudly, all the while Dongsi is still hiding in his tree, staying out of sight, and trying to figure out how they knew he was in the area. Chapter 19. Dongsi decides to make his getaway from the 3 competitors, and they immediately give chase. Dongsi is faster and starts to pull away from them when a bullet whistles past his head, missing by inches. With guns in the mix, a flat-out race is no longer a viable escape strategy, and Dongsi dives for cover into the nearest bush. The team of 3 isn't fazed and split up to start searching for him. Soon after splitting up, one of the team hears a noise coming from a nearby bush. Thinking she has found Dongsi, she fires in the direction of the noise, feeling really confident in her skills. That confidence is, however, misplaced, and Dongsi lands behind her, puts his knife to her throat, and she can't believe how fast he is and how he managed to get the drop on her. Dongsi calmly tells her teammates to drop their guns or lose a teammate to his utter disbelief. Without any hesitation, her teammate puts 2 bullets in her chest, ending her life in the hostage situation. They let Dongsi know that they were just using her as bait and remind him again that there is only one prize, so they would have eventually killed her anyway. Dongsi is stunned by how ruthless people in the wilds are. The teammate who made the shot acknowledges Dongsi's strength and invites him into an alliance. Dongsi again has his morals and mindset tested, and he knows that he has to make some hard decisions if he wants to achieve his dreams. Tripping the first guy to the ground, his teammate reacted quickly and pointed his gun at Dongsi, but he was just too slow, and before he could even get a shot off, a bullet pierced his heart from a shot fired from Dongsi. Death was almost instantaneous, and he dropped to his knees and was dead before his body hit the ground. The guy Dongsi tripped is outraged and starts firing at Dongsi from the ground where he fell. Dongsi's speed is just too fast and he dodges the shots, while the guy is trying to reset his aim. Dongsi flash steps to the side so fast the guy on the floor doesn't even see him move, and before he can reposition himself, Dongsi ends it. He reflects again on the lessons Poison Wolf had taught him. Somewhere else in the dungeon, we see the bully and his mercenary band heading towards the center. They hear cries for help coming from the forest near them, but completely ignore them as they are here for one mission: protect the bully while collecting the chest. Someone bursts out of the bushes a few meters in front of them, still shouting for help, begging to be saved, not knowing that right behind him is a massive wolf beast. In one swift bite, the beast bit down, ending the race for yet another competitor. The mercenaries inspect the beast and reveal it to be an F-rank dark shadow wolf, which has spotted them and thinks they will be its next meal. The mercenaries aren't impressed by the beast, and one of them offers to take care of it all by himself. With his sword drawn and moving with incredible speed, the mercenary slashes at the wolf multiple times in quick succession and quickly slays the beast and takes its runestone for himself. The bully, seeing the strength of the mercenaries, requests for them to do a mission for him. The boss declines as they have only been paid for the one mission by his parents. But when he offers to pay for it himself, the leader is all ears and wants to find out what the mission is. The bully only has one mission in mind, and that is the end of Dongsi, who has plagued and mocked him for way too long. Chapter 20. Back at the dungeon entrance, the competitors' friends, family, and companions wait patiently for them, all wondering how they're doing. Tang Yin voices her concern, and Skinny Monkey teases her about it. He then comforts her by letting her know how strong Dongsi is, but she is worried as she saw his rune spirit's strength. Skinny Monkey agrees as he is confident that Dongsi could handle most of the beasts, but his good nature could make him weak against the other competitors' ruthlessness. They also wonder if Dongsi could have reached the palace by now, and they are right, as back in the dungeon, we see that Dongsi has in fact reached the Death God's palace, and it appears that he is the first to arrive at the palace. He heard the approach of people heading towards him, and decided to hide in some nearby trees using the technique Firefox had taught him. Dongsi senses an incoming attack, and jumped out of the tree he was hiding in. The mercenaries who initiated the attack are really impressed with his reaction speed. The bully is happy to see Dongsi for a change, because now he can finally get rid of him once and for all. Dongsi knows there is no love lost between the two of them, but he can't believe the level of hate the bully has for him. The bully wanted nothing more at that moment than for the mercenaries to end Dongsi, and the four of them charged at him. The leader struck first with his fists. Dongsi dodged, and the leader's strike was so powerful, his fist drove deep into the solid ground. Dongsi landed a few paces away, but the mercenaries worked well as a team, and the next attack was already heading towards the back of his head. Dongsi dropped, dodged, and kicked out backwards, tripping the second attacker and knocking the strike off target. The leader and one of his teammates watch the exchange and are again in awe at Dongsi's speed and battlefield awareness. The bully watching from the safety of the stairs starts shouting at the mercenaries to hurry up and get the job done. From the bushes on the side, a long red sticky tongue flies out and wraps itself around one of the mercenaries and pulls him towards a large F-ranked red-stripped toad, which is a really powerful beast. Wasting no time, the large beast swallowed the mercenary whole, and the rest of the team is horrified at having just watched one of their teammates being eaten right in front of them before they could even blink. The leader doesn't feel that they can fight Dongsi and the beast at the same time and decides to retreat, but flings a bottle of something at Dongsi as he turns to run. The bottle hits Dongsi and breaks, releasing a powdery substance into the air and coating Dongsi. And this powder will make the toad they're dealing with focus 100% of its energy on Dongsi, and so they retreat into the palace and leave him to the toad. Dongsi has no idea what the mercenary boss has done to him, but he knows that they have to live in the wild and have equipment and weapons with strange side effects. The toad shoots its tongue out at Dongsi, who jumps into the air to dodge being hit, and fires some shots into the toad. But being an F-rank beast, the bullets have no impact on the toad other than to annoy it. The toad is pretty fast and accurate and shoots its tongue out again. This time it knocked the gun out of his hand, sending it flying into the forest. Dongsi lands on a tree branch and takes a second to evaluate the situation. He thinks about his knowledge of the beast, thinking about how he can use its weaknesses or strengths to his advantage, and thinks up a plan. He takes off his jacket and flings it to the side, trying to catch its attention. It works, and the toad targets the jacket, shooting its tongue out and catching it. With the toad being distracted, Dongsi pulls his knife and slashes it across the toad's throat, putting an end to the battle with the death of the toad. Dongsi's system quest screen popped up, showing him that he had to only defeat one more beast to complete his quest. Leaving the defeated beast behind him in the dust, Dongsi started heading into the Death God's palace after the bully and his mercenary team. Inside the palace, the bully and his team have made it to the statue and see that the chest is still at the statue's feet. One of the mercenaries got a bad feeling looking up at the statue, but the leader didn't want him to jinx them, so told him to just keep it to himself. The bully and his team start heading towards the chest when a voice shouted out, warning them to stop turning around. The bully sees that the voice belongs to Dongsi, and he can't believe that he is still alive. To be continued. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and also leaving a comment telling me what you enjoyed and what could be better. Thanks all.